When you're working towards a goal and everything's going according to plan, life is great. What happens when things aren't going according to plan? What happens if something goes wrong? Let's say you're feeling particularly inspired to explore musically. You have some gigs coming up, you have some recordings coming up, and everything's feeling quite inspiring. But immediately after that, let's say you injure your index finger on your left hand. That's a pretty significant and important finger for playing guitar. That finger starts hurting out of the blue, and you're not able to use it for a couple of weeks. You start thinking maybe you're not going to be able to use it for these gigs and recordings that are coming up. What do? It's a pretty specific example, and as you probably gathered, this is where I'm at the moment. The strange thing is that I'm feeling just as motivated as ever. I'm having a lot of fun making music, and I'm really interested in why that is, because typically it hasn't been the case. Typically I've become really despondent, unmotivated, depressed when I have an injury and it gets in the way of me achieving what it was that I was working on. So I've found 3 strategies that we can use in this situation. First one, choose another desirable strategy that meets your need. Originally, when something happened to break my flow so that I wasn't able to carry out my plan, then I would choose another plan. The problem is that I would choose that plan purely using logic. If I injured something about my left hand or arm, I would focus on using the other arm instead. I'd practice just right hand parts only. If I injured my right hand or arm, I'd do things with my left hand. All these things were useful and they made sense to do. It's just that they weren't meeting my needs for creativity and expression. This time I switched to some other things that excited me. I switched to playing slide guitar, I also played around with open string work so that I'm combining more open strings with what I'm playing. When you have a setback, take a moment to consider the full range of possibilities that you have to achieve your set outcome. So brainstorm And I suggest green light thinking, meaning you leave analysis out of it. Analysis can come later. So you start with just saying yes to any idea that comes up. Write it down. Clarify the desired outcome. It's to develop the skills that will help you to be able to play the gigs and do the recordings that are coming up. So we think about what are the things that you can do on a guitar. So what is there? You can do hammer-ons, you can do pull-offs, you can pluck every note, you can do slides, you can play slide guitar, you can use the whammy bar, you can do percussion on the guitar, you can hit the strings, like slap bass, you can pop the strings, you can explore different sounds using pedals, using different ways of plucking. You can pluck with your fingers, you can pluck with your nails, you can pluck with picks and brushes and things like that. So that's just a beginning to that process, but there's all sorts of possibilities. When you've got a list that seems quite complete, think, what option do I want to go with? Let's say you go with slide guitar. Next step is to just go for it. Just explore slide guitar. That means get a slide, play around with it. Maybe get some lessons, do some research, listen to recordings. As you get deeper into the world of slide guitar, maybe you learn more things. For example, I discovered the whammy bar work of Jimmy Herring, and that's opened up more possibilities. And you saw some of that in the video as well. There's also the different contexts that slide happens in, different cultures. So I assume that you're going to find something in that list that excites you. So I notice, just after thinking about this process, that the meaning of something not going according to plan has changed from a setback to now being information that I can use as I move forward, which is a much more empowering place to work from. Second plan. Keep responding to feedback. I was frustrated that I couldn't do the thing I'd set to do. I would adopt a new plan, and the new plan kind of sucked. I was still frustrated. So this time around, I lucked out because I just happened to have a plan that met my needs. So does choosing another pathway mean that it's set in stone? Of course not. You can keep choosing. The trick is to stay open to change. We want to adapt to the information as it comes up. As you explore, you learn things, you gather information. Some of that is just content specific. It's about slide guitar. Some of what comes up is how you feel. There's also your sensory information. What do you hear? What do you see? What do you feel? If feedback suggests that it's going well, keep going. If feedback suggests that it's not going ideally, then you can simply update your plan and then experiment with that. The process continues. The main thing is to keep adapting to the information that comes. Third thing, focus on the plan that you've chosen. Sounds obvious, like with all these things, but it's really made a difference. So if you're carrying out your current plan, but you keep thinking about the original plan, the original objective, then that's not going to be very motivating. It's going to make it harder to do the thing that you're wanting to do. If you focus on what's possible, that's going to be much more constructive. So you can choose. If you find yourself thinking about the previous plan that you're not able to do, then knowing the consequences of pursuing that thought process, you can choose that if that's what you wish. Or you could choose to I'm going to think about my current plan. I'm going to focus on what is possible, knowing the consequences of that process. Now, if in that first step you chose a desirable replacement, then this issue is probably not even going to come up in the first place. So we're just continuing to come back to making sure that we're doing what we want. So if you come to a point where you realize that your plan isn't working, then you could choose another desirable strategy that meets your need. Continue to respond to the feedback you're receiving and focus on the plan that you've chosen. Do you have something going on in your life where things aren't panning out as you expected them to? Let me know in the comments what you might apply this thinking to. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then please like it and share it with anyone who you think it might be helpful for. Please subscribe if you'd like to see more videos, and I will see you in the next one.